man, that video game obviously changed my life. It changed your life. It changed everybody's life involved with it.
Made skateboarding bigger.
It made everybody that wasn't involved with its life better because of skateboarding in general. It elevated it so much. To this day, everywhere I go, you were my favorite on Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I started skateboarding because of you, because I started playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It never ends. It just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going.
Do you know what's funny about that? When people to ask me about the game, like, yo, man, Tony Hawk, I used to love playing Muska on your game. It's true. It's true.
Welcome. Here we go.
And I'm not Tony Hawk. Hey everybody, Jason Ellis, world famous comedian, but not famous at all, but a comedian. I'm on the road doing comedy. Everybody can come and see me. You can see me June 13th. I'm in Salt Lake City, and then Tacoma, Washington, July 5th and 6th. And then Spokane, July 7th, and then July 24th, Louisville, and then I'm going to be July 25th in Port Wayne. I don't even know where that is, but I'm going there. And then Appleton, Wisconsin, I've been there. I said Fort Wayne. You don't understand what I'm saying, but Fort Wayne, I don't know how to say it or where it is, but I'm going there and I'm doing jokes, you bastards. And then Appleton, Wisconsin, I've been there once. I ate cheese curds and then I pooed them out and they still look like the actual thing that I ate right after it. So I'm excited to be there, everybody. July 26th and 27th. Go to thejasonellis.com for tickets. Woo!
Okay, here we are.
Chad Muska, welcome to the show.
The Muska.
What's up, Tony?
Thank you.
What up,
Yeah,
Jason?
man.
Hey,
Yeah, man.
It's been a
Yeah,
long
man.
time. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I've seen you a few times recently, and I'll start it off by apologizing. So my voice is a little hectic right now. I came into LA hot, saw the homies. I'm hyped, I'm worked up, and I've just been having a blast here. And my voice, unfortunately, has suffered the consequences of my actions right now.
It's all right. We understand. We're not the priority. It's okay.
Oh, you are the priority. No, but
I thought you said we weren't going to burn the guests.
Well, I'm burning myself. It's self-deprecating.
Yeah, in your defense,
No,
Tony's
we are.
voice.
We are getting the tail end. And I know how this came to be, actually, because we were up here for my wife's birthday last week.
Yeah.
And staying at this one hotel. And
Fancy
hotel. And we're sitting there, and she sat down for breakfast. We have coffee in this certain area, right? I promise this is relevant.
I'm fine.
Okay, so she's sitting there. I came down a little later, and she's like, "Look over that way. Look over that way." Kanye.
Yeah.
And then Danny Minnick walks in.
Yeah. That's your buddy.
Yeah.
My boy. It's my boy.
And then
And he's like, "Yo, what's up, man? I'm doing an art show, and I'm getting married today.
oh wow.
And Muska's here." And I was like, "Wait, what? What's going on?"
Yeah. Wait, did Muska show up?
And then he's like, he's supposed to come down. And then I had to leave, and we didn't see each other.
Yeah, he sent me a text, and I didn't see it for like 20 minutes. Came down, missed Kanye, missed Tony, missed all the action, you know. But yeah, you know, I came back in.
But that was the catalyst to come here, because it was like, "Oh yeah, Chad's in town. Let's go." And then,
Yeah.
Man, that place is popping off. Muska and Kanye, Tony Hawk.
Yeah,
Man, if I'd have been there, he'd grab
Danny
some of
Minnick. No.
Danny Minnick.
Sorry.
He's now the famous artist. Danny
I was
Minnick.
more confused though, because he said, "I'm getting married, and I have an art show tonight." But it was all kind of one thing.
Same day?
Yeah, I think
2 days apart.
2 days apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I was like, that's pretty crazy. You know, you're getting married and having an art show. I couldn't imagine the pressure of getting married alone with coinciding an art show and trying to go
I
through all
thought getting
that.
married might be performance art. That sounded like it was all wrapped into one.
Okay, so this is pretty funny. 3 years ago, I sold my house in LA, broke up with my girlfriend, and just disappeared from society. I moved to Ohio, went to connect back with my family, and just spent 3 years for myself. I took some time off. I did my own thing.
Yeah.
And Danny was getting married. He's one of my best friends. I had been wanting to return and see LA again because I hadn't been here since I left. I haven't left my house in Ohio for 3 years since I left. I spent 3 years in Solitude. I didn't really speak for 3 years and got back here and was all in the mix. And, you know, it just started going. And we're at the wedding. Danny's getting married. This is crazy, you know? And I sit down and I'm just chilling. And I'm like, there's an empty seat next to me. And I'm just there and I'm like, guy comes in, walks down, sits next to me. And I look. that's Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So he sits next to me at the wedding. This other guy, an actor, Eric Dane, he became he's like on Grey's Anatomy and some other show, Euphoria or something. I've never seen it, and then he became an ordained minister and married them. And it was like, I used to be up in the mix in Hollywood, and I had, many years of doing that. But even before I left, I was not really up in that scene. I kind of gravitated away from it and got into my own world and interested in art and a lot of different creative things in that world. And so it was just from like zero. I went from 100 to 0 going to Ohio, and then from 0 straight to 100 right into Hollywood.
So where does that land you after that? Do you miss
with no voice?
No, I was gonna say,
but I mean, do you miss,
like that.
do you miss seeing not celebrities, but more people like Danny in the skate industry and stuff like that?
So I didn't realize just like how important it was for me to connect with people like that. It was equally as important for me to take that break because like you guys been on like this guy. I'm like, I've been on tour for 25 years straight. This motherfucker been on tour for 50 years straight. No, I'm just kidding. But
very close.
But for and it's hard.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people understand that. And everybody's like, oh, you're so lucky. You get to travel the world. You get to skateboard. You get to do what you love. You get to connect with all these people. But it is work and it is a performance and you have to be on. And my fan base has always been so special to me. So no matter what mood I'm in, no matter if my ankle hurts, no matter if I'm upset, whatever's going on, it's showtime, and I have to perform and I have to be on point for those people. And some of those kids maybe waited their whole skate career to meet you or meet me or you. And so
more you too, but that's okay.
If I could only imagine, if I was that kid and like I finally met my pro and they were like mean to me or like didn't give me that attention.
Or didn't feel like skating.
Or didn't bust, and so I gave my all, my entire career, every demo, every autograph signing, sit there for 6 hours, sign every single thing, shake every hand, look the kids in the eye, give them a pound, take a picture, so it's very important to me to do that, but it takes a toll on you after a while.
Sure.
And then also there's ups and downs in everybody's career, and at one point I was a pretty big name in skateboarding and maybe still a little bit, but at one point I was, I remember you had an interview in Trans World and they asked you, your question was the most question you get asked and your answer was, do you know Chad Muska?
Oh yeah.
And it was a quote, in an interview you had in
absolutely.
Trans World.
There were years it was either you or Bam. That was what, hey, Tony Hawk. Yeah. Do you know Chad Muska? You know Bam Margera? I do.
And it's, so that's like kind of the wave. And maybe at that time, like, you had your big, huge rise, and then there was kind of a little bit of a dip for a while, a few times with you, I would assume, much like myself. And, it's all about navigating and figuring out, like, sometimes within the industry, skateboard industry, it's a youth-based industry. So the longer you're involved with it, at some point, it's like, oh, hey, well, this new kid is getting pretty good, and then all that stuff is like, you're thinking of it, and then sometimes the longer you dedicate yourself to a company, the less you get paid. And you think like, oh, I'm gonna keep dedicating, and I'll get more.
I feel you on that.
And so all those things are happening, and then it gets to a point where you're like, okay, like what's going on? What's going on with this? And you have to come to terms with it. And it was a bit of a struggle because it's not overnight either necessarily. It's kind of a gradual, like, it might be a quick up, all of a sudden you're at the top, and then some people drop off right away, but mine was kind of a slow, gradual thing. And I remember one time we were at like this Element demo with Nija, and like some kid walked up and was like, hey, let me get a photo. And I was like, thinking I'm the shit still. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And he like hands me the camera to shoot a photo of him and Nija. And I'm like, damn, the time has come. The time has come. And I was like, I'm not the shit no more, And but it's so amazing because I at times I was stressed on it or thinking like in a negative way to some extent, but then I just accepted everything and I just loved it after that point. And I love seeing the new generations come up, and I love talking to them and seeing like Nigel when he was a little 12-year-old kid with dreadlocks on and this is when it happened, when he was that 12-year-old, and I'm like, the 12-year-old's outshining me, it's over, And
did you get this new outlook in the 3 years you moved back, or did this happen before that?
This happened before, for sure.
Okay.
I came to grips with a lot of things, and you know, and I lived a crazy life, you know, and I lived life to the fullest. And going back to the Hollywood scene, skateboarding, I had nothing, you know. I was a homeless kid in San Diego, and that kind of part of skateboarding happened really fast for me. It was like homeless for 3 years, and then like Jamie Thomas hooked up. I hooked up with Jamie Thomas. We filmed some stuff, and I got a couple photos in a magazine. And he's like, "You want to ride for Toy Machine?" I ended up getting on Toy Machine. We took off on a American tour, and by the time I got back from that tour, it was like it happened, you know. And
were you actually homeless before the tour?
Yeah, for sure. I was living.
So you went from homeless to staying at hotels on tour.
My home was the hotel,
right.
You know, the van.
Yeah.
That 100% was, and even for a long time after that, I was just floating around. After that tour, I ended up in New York City. The guys dropped me off there, and ended up meeting Harold Hunter and Justin Pierce, and rest in peace, both of my homies. And that was my dream to go to New York City and skate there. I'm a street skater, you know. I'm here with these Vert skaters. Thank you for having a street skateboarder over here in the mix. I don't know how many street skaters you deal with, but you know there is quite a separation. there is quite a separation.
We have a share. We have a share here.
Yeah. But there is a separation between Vert and street skaters. You guys tend to hang together, and we kind of tend to hang together. It's not like a rivalry or anything like, you know. It's
like what are you gonna skate together?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, if I go to the rail with you, I'm not gonna have sorry, but I'm not having that much fun. I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
You're like, you next? I'm like, no, dude, I'm not next. Like, it's all you. I'll just sit here. And if you're on the Vert ramp, how many rides are you taking?
I look over the edge. I get sketched out.
I was just in Detroit over the weekend with Riley.
I saw your tray flip.
His half brother Tanner.
Sorry.
But it's funny is so I'm thinking, oh, we're all gonna skate together. I rarely get to skate with Riley or Tanner, and so I'm like, we're all gonna skate together. And there's a flat bar and there's a wedge ramp in the middle of the park with all the quarter pipes.
Yeah.
And the whole time they're skating that, and I'm skating by them to get to the quarter pipes on each side.
Yeah.
That was us skating together.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah.
You're in the same vicinity.
You killed it, man. I was so hyped to see that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You were ripping, man.
That was like my third 360 flip since I broke my leg. So.
But not even the tray flip, just
I was proud.
the bonus.
Thank you.
I mean, because
the one you came up short on.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, you're just so hardcore, dude. Like that slam, I was like,
I could
felt
have done without that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw the slam. Was it on the same clip?
On the bank.
No, someone shot it that was in the crowd, and
It
I
popped up.
reposted it because it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's like how the hell did he slam that hard on a stupid 360 flip?
Because he's a vert skater, that's wow. People don't understand when tray flips go bad for us, it is catastrophe. We're not kicking it out of the way and running. It's a shoulder block,
No, but
guaranteed.
the reason I brought that up is it's funny because like there was actually a separation within this tiny park of street and transition or vert. You know, it was pretty funny.
I think they're doing a great job at like, you know, designing skate parks in that way and involving transition and giving it a little something for everybody.
That's why I feel like these days everybody is, like you were saying, there's a bit of a separation, but it seems like it's more everybody's all-inclusive these days, and the skateboarding is all-inclusive. Like there's guys where I'm like, that guy can't ride transition, and then he rolls into the bowl, and I'm like, what the hell? Like he has such a street style, but he can do like a face-high backside air, and I'm like, what is happening? But that's not one. There's tons of those people.
I remember seeing Yuto for the first time on Vert, and I was like, he's got those skills too.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Have you guys seen him?
Yeah.
He skates Vert good. I only seen a few times, a few things, but I was like,
but I think of people, especially in your generation and even Riley. Everyone just grew up around the skate parks, the modular skate parks. So yes, you guys were all street skaters, but you definitely could ride transition because that's the only thing available that was assigned to skating.
And then I came up in the 80s. That's when I started skating.
Right.
So I skated Vert when I first started skating. Tower Skate Park was in Arizona. I don't know if you ever seen that.
Yeah.
They had a huge Vert ramp and a crazy spine ramp. And I skated Vert. I did hand plants on Vert, Madonnas. I did all backside airs. But I was only like 13 years old, and I wasn't blasting airs, but I was doing, you know, little backside airs. And
but I mean, you took that skill set with you along the way, so you became known as, you know, one of the most legendary street skaters and innovators. But at the same time, you could hit a quarter pipe.
Yeah. So look, I have a lot of people reaching out to me on social media that are older. They've got kids that skate. They want to get into skateboarding, or they want to get back into skating. and they're like 30 and over, maybe a little out of shape, haven't ridden a skateboard for a long time, or haven't ridden one at all, and want to learn how to skateboard. I think skateboarding is good for all ages. Anybody can do it, but I think there's a way to do it when you're a certain age or body type where there's do's and don'ts. And I have the solution. I can get you to skateboard in a way where you will not get really hurt and you will still have a truckload of fun. The boards are designed and handcrafted by Paul Schmidt, who's been making my skateboard since I was a little boy. These are good. Trust me. The artwork is a limited edition. It's handcrafted by Paul Schmidt, so you know it's good. This is me with no shirt on. It's exactly what I look like. This will make you a great skateboarder, just like me. With the setup, we also have riser pads, bolts, trucks, bearings, wheels, grip tape, even a skate key, and I'll teach you how to set this whole thing up. We have pads, helmets, skate shoes, Riley Hawk shoes. I actually started skating them to film this video, and now I skate in his shoe. I bumped my shoes for these shoes, so they're better than the ones that I was originally using. Lastly, if you want to take this a little bit further, you can hit me up and I will personally teach you how to get to the next level. Personal lessons from the wing. Go to fathergrind.com, get started, learn how to be a great skateboarder. Hit me up, I'll make you a sensational skateboarder. Skateboard, baby. Enjoy yourself. Now's the time. Coming before Father's Day.
Did Rocket Money cancel a subscription for you that was otherwise tricky or time-consuming?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about what they canceled, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I understand the hesitation now.
Good.
But I'm glad you got help by Rocket Money.
Yeah, that's all I want to say. Thanks, Rocket Money.
Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills.
I can see all my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, I can cancel it with a tap. They'll even try to get you a refund for the last couple of months of wasted money and negotiate to lower your bill for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest.
Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped to save its members an average of $720 a year, with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions.
I mean, I get it. You invented it. It's great.
Yeah.
Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/wolf. That's rocketmoney.com/wolf. rocketmoney.com/wolf.
And pools. I skated pools like crazy. Arizona had mad pools. And so I grew up skating pools all the time. And then what happened was there was that death in skateboarding in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. And then all the skate parks closed. So when all the skate parks closed, I was at that time, there really wasn't street skating yet. It wasn't really labeled. They had, street style in the parks. And I remember Noah Selaznick won some contest there at Tower Skate Park, and Colby Carter and Randy Cole. So we were street skateboarding, but it was like, I don't know, it was even before the 8th Street videos, and it was just, they were just those that were just about to come out, Yep. And so the death of skateboarding and the death of the skate parks now led to street skateboarding. That was the only alternative, unless you had a backyard ramp or you had an empty pool that we found to skate. There was no more vert ramps. And we had Thrasherland. Have you ever seen Thrasherland?
Yeah.
And it had these like crazy fiberglass, like 70s snake run and a full pipe. Yeah. And it was so sketchy. Like they were all like modular too and put together in this like.
Yeah, the seams were impossible.
It was like, there was like, lips like 3 inches high, and you had to know where to go and holes in them. And it was so cool. It was a crazy, and they had this vert ramp. It was called the Ocotillo. And it was the first vert ramp I ever dropped in on. And it was like, I don't know if you guys this thing had it seemed like at that point it was like 10 feet of vert or something. And it was like, I thought it was like over vert. It wasn't, but I was just so scared of it, And
did you see the bear cover ramp back then?
I did. Yeah. They had they had demos they did some demos that I had seen before.
That was, when I look back at that, I question how did we make it through those times. So the bear cover vert ramp was plexiglass.
Yeah.
It was 8 feet wide, right? Yeah. And it was 4 feet off the ground.
Dangerous. The flat was 4 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
The flat, there was no flat though. It was a U-pipe.
Yeah.
So it's a U-pipe, plexiglass, 8 feet wide, 4 feet off the ground, and we would skate it. Like we would do demos in parking lots.
for long periods of time.
Yeah, and I don't know how we didn't fly off the side every
Yeah.
time, fly over the back of it, break
Man,
through it.
I'm glad I didn't go.
Yeah.
I would have gone
But
off.
that was an Arizona thing, bear
Yeah,
cover, right?
yeah, and yeah, that was crazy. And that was like right when I was starting. I think even the first time I saw it, I might not even skated yet. They had something going on there, you know.
Yeah.
And then it was. Did they have that one at the when they did the? It was like that at the water park. I forget the names.
Oh, Big Surf.
Big Surf, and it was they had some. There was a name, there was a video, and all this stuff. I forgot.
They
what
had
it was.
a contest at Big Surf, a street event.
Yeah. That was like the sickest. It's on VHS. You can find it. It's like Soy was just blasting methods and Eric Dressen.
Yeah.
And they had that natural.
Yeah,
wave.
we could ride where the waves come out. There's a wave pool.
Yeah.
It was a bank, so we could ride the bank, and then they put all these street obstacles all around it. It was pretty sick. Like that was
Yeah.
kind of ahead of its time.
Definitely.
That event. Yeah.
And then even years later, we would break in there because it closed, every winter. And there's no winter in Arizona really, but it closed every winter and seasonal. And then we would go and skate it still. And people I think still do. It might have got ripped down by now, but that's cool. Yeah, it was a cool spot.
Hey, when you just
So
said
great.
like you cut out and went to a farm, right?
Yes.
For 3 years.
Yes.
What, like, I hope you don't mind me asking, what made you just do that? What was the thing that made you leave so, like, abruptly
yeah.
kind of, right?
Yeah. Like I think we all went through a lot of changes during COVID and during the lockdown and all that stuff, and it kind of forced us to have a lot of time alone and think. And long before that, I started gravitating away from the Hollywood scene. I had the best time of my life, but it just wasn't me anymore. It wasn't who I was, and I lived up Beechwood Canyon, on a hill, and my backyard was the Hollywood sign. I woke up and just looked at that every single day, and I was just so in the mix. And I wanted space, I wanted land, and in order to do that, I had to go outside of LA somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I decided I was going to sell my house and I was going to move probably to like Joshua Tree or Palmdale or
So
somewhere.
the scene, like a lot of people, the whole everything's happening all the time thing had worn out.
It just wasn't me anymore. It wasn't what I was looking for.
Because you got older, or?
I don't know. I guess I don't have that answer, but I've been one to follow my intuition my entire life. It's guided me everywhere I went. It guided me to California when I was 14 years old and ran away and left everything. Everybody thought I was crazy. My parents were worried. It didn't seem like the logical thing to do, but my intuition led me here, and everything happened in my life because of that, by following it. Whenever I don't listen to that intuition and don't follow it, I don't live up to my full potential, and I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel happy. I was in a relationship for about 6-7 years or so, and towards right before COVID, we were kind of on the way out and separating, and then COVID kind of forced us together for those couple years, and we knew it wasn't. We loved each other and we were good, but we knew we weren't happy with each other anymore, and so we broke up and went our separate ways, and I needed something new. After all those years being on tour. And this might sound weird and cliche, and I don't like talking in third person, but I didn't want to be the Muska anymore.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Chad. I wanted to be me, and I wanted to go find out what did I want to do in life.
That makes sense,
What do I
man.
want right now, And in order to do that, I had to find myself, and I had to confront a lot of things within myself and find out those what is it, and so that's the most common question I get like right now, like, what are you doing there? What are you doing? And it does seem pretty abrupt and seem very, a crazy thing was I did all this and stuff, and I got out there, and my mom was like, she thought I was dying. She thought I was like, she's like, are you sick and not telling me? Because she couldn't believe that like that was like my last thing I was gonna do is go move there and hang out with her. She was like scared. I'm like, no. Because I left home at such a young age and I never got to spend time with my family after that. I was like 14 years old and I was gone. And then everything happened in skateboarding and I never stopped. And
Was it hard at first?
What?
Moving to the farm. Moving away from all this crap.
It was the craziest thing was I got there and it just all felt natural.
Straight
it was
away.
insane. I was like, I went to Ohio to buy my mom a new house and get her in a house. And I got her in a house, and my original plan was, let's get something together out there, and I'll have a kind of little hub there, and I'll come back and get my hub in the desert out here and have kind of two places. And I stayed with my mom for a couple of months looking at properties and this and that. And after 2 months of staying with each other, we both were like, we love each other, but we don't want to live with each other, you know, even if it's part-time. And we're both independent and, you know, and spent this long apart. And it's not a bad thing. It was just, and I said it to her and she was like, oh my gosh, thank you. I didn't want to say it because we were both thinking the same thing. And in the process of,
you have so many amicable breakups.
And she still works and she wanted to be, in the city and closer in, she's in not a big city, but a smaller town, but still wanted to be in that town. And I was still interested in land. And in the process of kind of going back and forth, I found this like just the coolest property, and they had greenhouses and fruit trees, and they were growing food. And it's an older Ukrainian couple, and they had no cell phones. They had a flower business. They didn't accept credit cards. They had no internet.
You like that?
It was amazing to me. Well, it's interesting to me because I can't believe that somebody can live without their phone or the internet because we're all so tethered to it.
Yeah.
And I was so fascinated by what they had created there. And so I saw the place and I was like, okay, I think I want to buy this place. And I said, you know what? I see what this is. This is work. This is a lot of work, responsibility.
Stuff, right?
And it's not like, I'm not a real farmer, I'm a gardener.
But
so I say it as a joke.
Do you have a gardening background?
I never grew anything in my life.
That's what I thought.
I couldn't.
So you learned it out there by yourself.
Yes, I couldn't even keep a houseplant alive before that.
That's
You know what I mean?
1
month was a big deal if I kept the houseplant alive, you know? Oh, actually, at the end, I had some houseplants before I moved, but that was my ex-girlfriend was taking care of them mostly. But so I got there and I saw that stuff and I was just like, this is so cool. Like, and it was spring when I was there, so there was like, I have like 100 fruit trees. There's peaches, pears, apples, plums, cherries. I have a vineyard. There's grapes. I got blackberries, different variations of blackberries, raspberries, strawberries.
You take care of all that?
Yes.
But is your goal to sell them?
No, not at
Just
all. I don't sell anything. I give it away. I have mad chickens and they lay eggs. I don't eat.
How many chickens you got?
I had 30, but I'm down to like 25.
Dude, I always
I have
wanted
a story about that.
My ex convinced me
that
that chickens are cool because I was like, I don't know if I like chickens because she was like, I want to get a farm when we're older and have chickens. And I was like, chickens? Why? And then I rented a house in Texas for a week when I did Ellis Mania and they had chickens in the back and I hung out with chickens. And I was like, oh, no, I get it. Chickens are actually pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I would have a chicken farm. You got 30 chickens? Are some of them fluffy? Or are these the more...
Oh, those designer chickens?
Yeah, I don't have any designer.
Come on.
I got like Foghorn Leghorn style, you know? Like
is that a stock chicken?
Foghorn Leghorn.
You know, that's what they look like.
That's
you
a
know,
stock
like,
chicken?
I think they're called Leghorns, I think.
That's why we called the restaurant we're going to open. That's what we call it Chicken Hawk.
Okay, yeah. Chicken Hawk. I'm the Chicken Hawk, and you're a Chicken Hawk.
I'm a Chicken Hawk.
Are you friends with the chickens?
Oh, I love them. They're my homies.
Man, that's so cool. Do you have 30 names for chickens?
No, so some of them are like clones, and they're just like, they're all like the same, and they have no personalities. And then a few of them stand out. Krusty the chicken, that's the mama hen, and she's cool. Little Kim, she died. A hawk killed her.
Oh, man.
She was so Krusty was the...
Dude.
Rest. Oh, tell the hawk.
Relax.
It's all good. We'll forgive your crew. They're cool. I love animals. I love all animals, and so I don't eat meat. I don't eat the chickens. I don't eat the eggs. I just give them out to people, and my mom loves them, and they're supposedly the best eggs ever because they're all free range. They eat the worms, and they're happy. They're happy chickens. They do their thing. It's a sanctuary. I talk to them. I feed them snacks. They're escape artists though. You know, like Chicken Run, that movie, that cartoon. It's like that. You know, they're always there.
Did you see that chicken do a tray flip?
Yeah, I did see.
So
that.
sick.
I saw that.
He's better than you and me for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And me at this point right now. Yeah. So.
This podcast is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms, mate.
Squarespace offers Blueprint AI and SEO tools. Start a completely personalized website with the new guided design system, Squarespace Blueprint. Choose from professionally curated layout and styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up, tailored to your brand or business and optimized for every device. Easily launch your website and get discovered fast with integrated, optimized SEO tools so you show up more often to more people and grow the way you want.
Make checkout seamless for your customers with simple but powerful payment tools.
Easily manage your clients and invoices, from vetting leads to receiving payment via invoices, in one streamlined, customizable workflow.
Go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/hawk, whatever, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Jason, put some respect on it.
I said it with respect.
But I got to ask, how do you earn an income, make a living doing that?
So, after all these years being an endorser for brands, being a skater, a designer, all these things, I've always worked for a company. And another thing right before this, which kind of led to all this, was my last check was Supra, and my Supra check ended. And so that was my last income in skateboarding. And I said, okay, what the heck am I going to do? You know, because like we were saying before, the industry has a tendency to make you feel that your time is up. You know, your fan base is done. The next crew's in. And I said, you know what? I've done this all these years for all these companies. Why can't I be a businessman? Why can't I do this? And so I ordered 200 skateboards from Paul Schmidt. Did these boards, PS sticks, and
Love Paul.
And I said, okay, let me try to do this. I'm gonna put a Shopify store up. I shot the photos and I went live, and I was like, oh man, I must have messed up, because I was just learning Shopify and I didn't think I did it right. And I refreshed and I'm like, it's not, there's none there, you know? And they all sold out. Oh my gosh, 200 boards in 1 second. Done, sold out. And I said, oh man, I saw the light. And so I became a businessman. And in the last 4 years, I've studied sourcing, manufacturing, and I've already been working in Illustrator and Photoshop for 20 plus years, doing design, doing graphic design, clothing design, footwear design, graphic layout for advertisements, creating content, video editing, photography. I've learned all these crafts that go into making these companies, and I realized I can do this 100% solo, on my own, and I don't need anybody to do it.
Yeah.
And I have the power of my social media. I have the brain to conceptualize and create products. And the last 4 years, the missing link for me was understanding sourcing and manufacturing. And so now I'm mastering that. And I am completely just really getting started. But over those last 4 years, my direct-to-consumer business has been going off. And I've been becoming very successful. And I'm releasing small drops of product once a month, twice a month, every so often. Right now, for the first time, I've never scheduled in my life. I just freestyle.
Yeah.
I'm still off schedule a little bit, because look what I did here. I didn't tell anybody I was coming to California. I just showed up. Danny Minnick was the only person who knew I was coming, and he wasn't even certain.
That's what you get. You end up here.
Yeah. and no, but everything worked out. And this trip to California, and I don't want to go bounce around too much, but after being 3 years in solitude and spending all that time alone and having the most magical experience that I never had in my life, connecting with the nature in this world in a way I never had, with seasons, with growing food, with putting my hands in the dirt, with seeing a seed turn into a sprout, that sprout turns into a plant, the plant turns into a vegetable, and I'm eating these things, and all these experiences I had there were so magical, and I thought, like, that was greater than anything in the world. Nothing else can top that. And all the experiences I had with people and all that, this was the most magical of all.
Yeah.
And in a sense, it was.
Yeah.
But then I got here, I got back, and I got on Sunset Boulevard. I got on my board, put my headphones on, started skating down the street, and I was like, I hadn't skated in a year and a half. You know why?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. And but I hadn't skated for a year and a half at all. And this is the first time I get on my board. I'm going down Sunset Boulevard, and I'm like, oh man, I remember this feeling, man. This is so great. And like I'm skating, the car's driving by, Muska, yo, what up? You know, and I'm just so hyped. And like, you know, I roll up to Brooklyn Projects and the homies, what up? Going to Supreme, you know, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get love going into Supreme. You know, there's all these new cool kids. And I walk in there and the whole store stops and they're like, oh shit, what up, Muska? You know, and they all show love, and I just want to buy a T-shirt just to show support, and they're like, no, hell no. Start loading up bags and give me bags of stuff, and I'm like, you know, just I like to support, you know, support my friends, you know, and support our industry, and they just hook me up the fat package. And
do you, in those moments, especially if you're just being seen on the street, do you feel that sort of that memory of, oh no, I have to be the Muska now?
That part didn't come to me really. I think I enjoy being it. Me, because that is me. Ultimately, it is me.
I mean that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
you have this iconic look without even trying, and so it's
oh,
like,
thank you.
Well, I do. I think if you walk in the street, it's like, oh, it's Muska. Yeah. And you don't have to be like, yo, with the boombox and the whole thing. It's just like, no, that's him. That's who he is. And so I wondered if you felt any kind of that old pressure. But it sounds like you don't.
No, I think I had that hiatus gave me that enough time to like to have away from it. So even before that, like I had times in my skateboard career where I would disappear. I would, you know, even before this, I would go off and start recording hip hop music, and I would be working in the hip hop industry for 2 years. And so I'm an all or nothing person. Whatever I'm doing, that's it. Yeah. That's all I'm skating street and I'm looking at that handrail, nothing else in the world exists. Yep. I was talking to this homie, Burberry Airy. You ever seen that dude with the spikes, that crazy street skater? And he's like, it's kind of a fashion dude, like, but he's a ripper. Anyway, he asked me the other day, like, you know, like, what would you think when you were doing those crazy handrails, you know? And I told him, I said, I used to pretend I was in the Matrix. I used to pretend the whole world was a Matrix. And I would like go into it and go like, it's all make believe. And if I just imagine I can do that handrail, I'll do it. Wow. Yep. And half the time I would imagine it, I would just roll up. It took me a few times to get in the zone and go completely focused in this like almost sense of meditation. Yep. And then like half the time I would do it first try. Yep. And I would just keep looking at it and go, this is the Matrix, this is the Matrix. And I would believe that. And I would just roll up and do it. And I'd be like, it's done. Oh, I think there's Burberry popped up on the screen. They popped him up. There's the homie.
Oh yeah, I seen him.
Yeah. You know, and so a lot of street skaters would be talking shit on him and like, you know, like he's, you know, but so skateboarders talk shit on me my whole career, and I loved it. I love it because if someone's not talking shit on you, then you're not pushing it to the fullest, you know? Like, skateboarding needs somebody to talk shit about, and I've been disappeared for a while, so I like homies like him that could come up and give somebody, you know, stir up the mix a little bit, because right now it's like, it's getting a little bit like boring in some ways, like with the Olympics and with Street League, and there's nothing, I have nothing against those things. I think they're great for skateboarding. I think skateboarding being Olympics opens up whole new doors that would never open up, and Street League's amazing. And to showcase to the regular world, you need a winner. So anybody watching sports or anything like that, there has to be a winner. Boxing, basketball, and that tells the story. So if you're going to put skateboarding on TV, the audience that doesn't understand skateboarding, and some of skateboarding as well too, wants to see that winner. That was never skateboarding for me. There's no such thing as a winner in skateboarding. Skateboarding is art. Skateboarding is expression. It's love. It's pure form, and you know, and I just did it because I loved it. In my years, I didn't even. It shows. I didn't think you could. My goal was to get sponsored and get free skateboards, and that was the extent of my goal. I never thought was like, what am I going to do after that? I dropped out of high school. I ran away from home. I had no plan, but I loved this so much. There was no option. There was no other option for me but to follow that intuition, like I said earlier, and it led me to everything in my life, all my experiences, to skateboarding, this community, which is like a globe, you know, we travel all over the world. Anywhere you go, people are you could roll up to somebody and they're like, yo, Ellis, what up? You can stay at my house. Come on in. Like, chill. Like, we got you. Take you to the local scene. You know, we got to experience the world in such a cool, unique way.
I went to Eagle Rock on the weekend to like, a friend had a music video, and they were like, hey, can you skate first in the music video? And I was like, yeah, sure. I've never been to this place. And I get there, and it's just a street area, and I'm like, oh, that's bad for me. And then there's this big dirty bowl in there, like giant, deep, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's Vert. Like, I'll get something going in here. I roll in. It is a steaming pile of shit. Like all kinked and bumpy, and they've painted it so many times that there's paint chips that are like coming off, and they grab your wheels and stuff. And I was like, I didn't bring my pads. I'm like, you're gonna get hurt, dude. And when I go there, I put my tail over to look into the transition. I'm like, oh my god, there's so many kinks just in this little bit. And I'm like trying to look at all the bumps to read where I'm gonna go. And a kid comes over and he's like, hey man, you looking to drop in? Like, it ain't that hard. Like, and I was like, okay. And I didn't say anything. And then he drops in, like, he can skate a little bit, but not really. And he's like, you can do it. I'm like, oh, can I? Gee, thanks. So then I start skating.
You should have embraced that moment.
What? I should have embraced
He's all
it.
bitter about it. Like, that's an amazing
I didn't get bitter.
moment.
I was just like, oh, okay, if you're going to teach me, but just give me a second, you know, like I can do it. But then I started skating it, and then he comes up and he goes, hey, man, what's your name? And I was like, Jason. He goes, Jason Ellis? And I go, yeah. He's like, no way. And I'm like,
sick.
What a weird ass. And then another guy came over to me and said, I saw you skating Lance's ramp when I was 17.
Whoa.
And I'm like, that's the first time I came to America, dude. He's like,
deep
we
cut.
were up on a hill. We used to watch you guys. And I was remember you and that other Australian guy. And I was like, yeah, Gary Valentine. He's like, yeah. I'm like, holy shit. And he was old. Like me. We're old.
Yeah.
And he's at the
But
skate
everyone's
park.
still in it.
Yeah.
But that's like this, when you were talking about the contest and all that stuff, like it doesn't matter what version of skateboarding you do. It makes other people want to skateboard.
I do want to
And
ask
then
you
they
about
can
that,
do whatever
though,
they want.
when you talk, because you're saying, well, it's getting kind of boring and it's in the Olympics and whatever. Like, there were competitions back when you started.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There was always that competitive element.
Yeah.
And then X Games were massive. The X Games were massive when you were massive.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always been those, I don't know, separations, but they all coexisted.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I disagree with you in that you're saying it's boring now just because it's like
Well,
the
I
Olympics
wouldn't
and
say it's
whatnot.
boring. Like I said, I tread lightly on that because I love the Olympics. That skateboarding's there.
I'm not.
And I
I'm
love
not defending that. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that there's always been that competitive element. There's always been the winners of
Yeah.
what we do, but there's also always been the other hardcore skaters like you, like Jamie, and like so many others that didn't compete, that were known as some of the best, most interesting skaters. I mean,
I think like back in the day, I think Vert and Street have a bit of a difference in that way, a little bit.
Sure.
And then like the street contest back in the day for me was more of like a gathering. You
Yes.
know, it was like more of a reason for everybody to come together. It was less about the winner, and it was more about that community coming together. The winner was just kind of an icing on a bonus from the deal.
I think in his era, like the 80s, there were people that were in contests that didn't win that were still like Neil Blender was not like a winner of contests, but did everybody in skateboarding adore him and copy him? And was he an influence still to this day? Fuck yeah, he was. Like he was in a street contest. I wasn't there. I don't think I'd even skated yet. Where he stopped and started spray painting on a wall.
yeah.
And
I
I'm like,
just used that as an example for something recently.
I'm like,
I
that's,
grabbed that clip
I love that clip.
of Neil. Isn't that
Yeah,
great?
Yeah, one of the best.
But I
You know
remember
what?
the way
I
you
agree
all
with you.
talked
I
about
think what
it.
you're saying is there's less camaraderie,
yeah.
and I agree with you there.
And but it's like I said, no disrespect. Like because if
No, I'm fascinated on your perspective on it because you have this sort of you've been removed from that part of it for so long that you're seeing it from a total like we're in the weeds all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I see it
because
from all
if you
angles.
looked at my whole career, I probably only entered 3 contests. I think my entire career that I remember.
The only time I
4
remember
or
you being
5.
in a contest was just footage of you in the practice session.
Yeah.
And
Just
it was like-
I got broke off.
Well, that too, but just
knock myself out, Slam City Gym. That's what I called it.
but you did like came away with an iconic photo.
Yeah.
You know, like with the blaster, crooked grind.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
He
He
helped
handed
me
up.
qualify in a street contest.
Nice.
There's no way you remember it. We're Rhode Island, and you were like, dude, you should. I posed crooked grind over the lead, like, and I got on and glided, and he was like, dude, you should do that, and I was like, yeah, right, and you're like, dude, you should totally do that, and I'm like, if Muska thinks I can do it,
Yeah.
then maybe I'll do it. I just
That's
pulled one
right.
out of my ass and qualified for the final.
Yeah.
And then I got knocked out in the Vert contest.
Oh,
and,
man.
And shattered my wrist. It was like the huge, like I was like, I was going to win the contest and qualify for the street. I was like, dude, I am on my way. And then boom, hand shattered. It was like the end of my career right there. Like that. I love Ridge. They are a company with a simple belief that they could make wallets better. Look at, man. Push it. Boom. Here's my ID, security. Now get out of the way. And then it goes back in. Bob's your uncle. Ridge is having their Father's Day sale May 15th through June 15th with 40% off some of my favorite Ridge items. What better place to put a smile on Dad's face? There's so many Ridge products to choose from. Like if I'm going to the club, I go to the Comedy Store all the time and I got like a butt bag thing and I'm sick of wearing it at the Comedy Store. So I just need a credit card and my ID. So I just slip it into this, and then I don't have no bulge in my pocket because I'm only looking for one bulge in my pants. Can hold up to 12 cards. I wish I had that many credit cards. Still have room for cash with Ridge Cash Strap or Ridge Money Clip. Noisy keys, thing of the past due to the design of the Ridge key case. You know when you're trying to sneak back into your own house and you don't want to wake the dogs? Sorry, I'm such a lonely guy. Well, now they don't know I'm coming, and then I can catch them pissing on stuff. So what are you waiting for? Go to ridge.com/wolf now and take advantage of their Father's Day sales while they last. Here's a secret. You can also get yourself a gift too. Go to ridge.com/wolf through June 15th and get up to 40% off some of my favorite Ridge items.
I mean, think about this. Your style alone inspired an entire Big Brother video section.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
boombox.
Yeah.
Like, what can you do with a boombox?
Yeah, Bill Weiss got some money out of that.
Nice. Yeah. I seen Cossack the other day, and I think he was shooting a lot of that or did that video segment for Big Brother. Rick
I
Cossack.
shot it at Skate Street.
Yeah, it was good to see him. Oh, you know, another funny name that came up was Julio De La Cruz hit me up last. I was talking to him because I still work with PS Sticks and making boards.
Yeah.
And he was like, he sent me a photo of you guys together when you were like, you were young.
Dude, he makes my boards now
Okay.
for this other thing,
Yeah.
and whenever I talk to him, it's like no time has skipped.
Yeah.
He's just like, he asked me, because I didn't skate for a while, and then I got back into it, and I was like, I want to get some boards, ride Vert again, and he's like, well, I've got your shape here, and I'm like, what do you mean you've got my shape? He's like, from when you were on Element. I'm like, shut the.
Wow.
Really? And he's like, yeah, we used to ride this. I think better if we wide, and now we're talking like design on how
It's
to make it. Like he's just back in,
I
ready
love
to go.
the people who have those archives, but also just the knowledge.
Yeah. And
Where
the passion,
there's
man.
only a few too where you can point to where it's like, oh, ask them.
And he was
'cause
saying
they're gonna know.
something about you like edited one of his first videos or something. I don't know what he was talking about.
That was probably
but-
when I was freelancing, editing videos. Because I was trying to make a living.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You know, the show
that was
must
like
go on.
93, 94-ish.
Yeah. I've always been a survivor. I'm always able to adapt and survive, you know? And, like, I think I've been very blessed. You've been very blessed. You know, been
look,
very
I'm
blessed.
on this podcast. Come on, I'm blessed.
100%. And so, like, there's very select few skateboarders that can have, like, a long-lasting career and then maybe a career that can last beyond their ability on their skateboard. And
Well, I think there's something to be said for the willingness to actually just work and hustle to
Yes,
get by.
that's true. That's true.
You know, it's not all
Not
going to be
give up.
rosy. It's not all just going to be fun.
Yep.
And you got to dig in and be like, okay, this is what it takes.
So-
and you always did that.
So like, yeah, and like I said right now, like, so for my company, I say it as a tagline, as a joke kind of, I say it's a one-man corporation because it truly is. I do every single thing for my company. I design the products, I source and manufacture, I photograph them, I create the assets, video, post them on social media, build my website, I process, package, and ship every order. I do the customer service. I do everything for it. And at
While
some point,
making plants grow and chickens eat.
yeah, all this. So that's why I haven't left the place in 3 years.
Makes
because
sense.
all I do is work. I
But
wake
do
up.
you find it a challenge to do it remotely?
At first, I did because I left Los Angeles for some things. For cut and sew apparel, I really wanted to do a lot of stuff in America. That was my goal. I tried, and boards. I do some boards with Pennswood in Pennsylvania, made in USA, and I was trying to get everything made in USA. And for like the first 2.5, 3 years, it was very hard and difficult, and I made some stuff in LA, and it became very expensive, and I had to sell a pair of swooshy pants for $250, and skaters don't want to pay $250 for a pair of pants. Right. High fashion does, but in our world, that was.
Yeah, because you're going to skid across the ground and rip them.
Yeah.
And now you feel like an asshole.
Yeah. So, but I've always adapted into survival and figuring it out. And, it's very cool that skateboarding has produced these icons and they're able to continue to do this. But nowadays, especially, we're going to see a lot less of them pop up because of just all this information, this continuous scroll. Even I saw
it's very diluted.
It's like skateboarding is as big as it's ever been, but it's definitely, there's so much going on, and the dilution, it's diluted in a sense that it's not one hub like Southern California and Northern California dictating what's cool and who's the best pro. Like any small town, anywhere in the world, anywhere, you show up and there is the gnarliest ripper you have ever seen, and you don't even know who they are. And they're so good. And then you're scrolling through social media, and then there's like a 4-year-old baby in diapers doing a 50,000, 9,900. I don't know what they're doing. Kickflip, varial, McTwist, backside, tailslide, revert, mega launch ramp.
But a lot of that stuff does rise to the top too. So it is democratized in the sense that when you see those crazy things like that, 10-year-old doing back-to-back 900s, we all seen it.
Yes.
So his name does sort of get into the fold in that sense. And it's not just like, okay, we saw that and move on.
Yeah, it does put them on the map. Yeah. But everybody.
But it's hard. It's hard to stay on the. It's hard to stay on the map.
But it's also like you said, Tony. If they put in the work, like that 10-year-old, if he keeps putting in the work, and obviously he's going to go through trials and tribulations, and when he does he stick to it? Right. Then he will show up with us.
Yep.
But if he breaks and folds because it ain't cool and he ain't getting enough likes on his Instagram, then bye with the rest of the quitters.
Yeah.
That's what's up. You got to stick with it.
But imagine if that kid showed up at the X Games, 1999 or whatever, 2000.
Oh, forget it. It would be,
and he did that.
That would be, that's all we'd see.
Our minds would not have been able to comprehend it even.
Yeah, you're right.
We would just
because there weren't as many outlets.
It would have, that's true. And it's and now it's the magazines don't even matter as much anymore. And I hate to say that, it's and Thrasher's kind of the last real, in our traditional sense of what we look, and Europe has some rad magazines as well too, and they're out there, but it's it's the social media, everybody's scrolling, and in our day, a kid had your magazine and your video part and watched that, that kid watching Ban This and watching, Future Primitive and over Celebrity Tropical Fish when he's breaking off street. When he's breaking off street. That was a formative part of my time.
Wow.
Skateboarding may have been small at that, but that video was insane.
No,
and
you.
And there was I don't even remember some of the skaters' names in that video, but there were street skaters that were that was some next level.
That was next. Yeah,
you guys were killing it, and that time period of skateboarding gets the least amount of love because there was the smallest part of participation in that time period, and but it was, to me and to those people that were involved in that time period, it was the most important part, and it's all these eras of skateboarding to watch it go through, and fast forward to here where we're at now, and we've watched it go, these waves, and then here we are. It feels like it's a wave going down, but yet somehow skateboarding's bigger than it's ever been. There's probably, I would have to say, more skaters in the world that ever existed than in the height of all the waves, and then all these companies are struggling. My theory is the power no longer lies within the industry, and the power lies within the individual. And people want to support the individual. If Jason Ellis is that person's favorite skater, they want to go to your website. They want to go to your outlet. They want to support you directly and see what you're up to. Follow you through your platforms and support you. Follow you through your. It doesn't mean that companies won't exist and skate shops won't exist, because that's the backbone of skateboarding and the most important thing. But we're seeing such a huge change, and we're seeing a lot of these skate shops become their own brands. And the skate shops, everybody's like, oh, you have to support the skate shops. You have to support the skate shops. But the skate shop's goal is to sell product. And so in order to sell product on a continuous basis, you have to have new product. And if you have the new thing, it's always cool. So in that search for the new thing, some of the things that were good and relevant get pushed aside.
Yep.
And that I felt that was that way for myself and my products. And so if the skate industry was gonna abandon me, I had to go and start my own industry, Muska Industries, and I had to create my own platform and my own designs and figure out my own communication source for my fan base, and that's where I'm at. And I see that with a lot of other people.
Sam, that's Staub too.
Yeah, dude,
Staub is doing his reissues.
Yeah, I saw what he made.
Limited run, and that, that's how
So
he makes a living.
I guarantee Staub generated more money off that one board sale than Nigel probably did 6 months on all of his sales.
It's possible,
You know,
But
I could be wrong.
I
I
still
could be
hold a
wrong.
special place for skate shops. I feel like they are the conduit to so much for local scenes and
Right.
kids, and if they're putting in the work and they're putting on events, or if they're really activating the skate scene there, then they deserve it.
Oh,
Absolutely.
like I said,
but there's also this other world here, exactly, where you are the brand, and that's not the skate shop thing. So it's tricky, but I think we can all coexist like that.
the way I try to do it with my products is that all of my stuff through my direct to consumer, if it's a skateboard, I autograph all my products and I put it at a higher price point. And
Right.
Most of my stuff, I'd say 99% of my boards that I sell are probably going on somebody's wall,
Yeah,
or,
no,
in,
that's-
or,
that's-
in their, or in their personal
that's the-
collection.
exactly
And
the-
then I still work with shorties, and the same graphics that I release on my independent projects, the same similar graphics are also released from shorties and are only sold to skate shops and distribution systems in the traditional sense. And 100% skate shops are the most important thing for kids to go and discover skateboarding and all that. The one other downside I see is that, so you remember, like in the 80s especially, man, I walked into a skate shop and it was going into another portal, into another a new dimension of something you could not witness or see
Right.
anywhere else.
Nobody knew about
you know?
it.
And you were like, Staub board, that board. I love that.
Yeah.
I need to buy one of those. I don't even collect boards. Trust me. I saw that.
hook you up.
I was out. No. I like supporting homies.
I bought his
I think
hoodie.
they're sold out though. They're sold out. You can't get them, I bet.
I'm sure he'll find one for you.
So I'm not even a collector, and I was seeing chickens, screaming squeegees,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that
Yeah,
who did
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah. And I was seeing him. I was like, ooh, those colors, and it was just, and then to see him, visualize and become like life becomes art, and it was him, and I was like, this is so cool. And I
love that you see it that
so
way.
that's what's going on right now, like that's I felt that
that's
nostalgia,
Klein, too,
that
Jeremy Klein.
that reminder, and it feels so good, and I can't believe that like my impact in my career had that same feeling for kids when I was coming up, and now that's what I'm able to do. I'm able to put this product out, and I have all these, they were kids that were growing up. Maybe they have their own kids now, and they want to relive those moments. And hey, this was my first board or my first shoe, and they want their kid to have it, or they want to just get another pair and go skate and relive their youth because maybe they started working and they took a hiatus.
I made a trick tip video for old people to skate in a way where they don't get hurt. Like, get a wider board, wider trucks, don't do kickflips. Like, if you're going to try to learn to do kickflips because you want to get into skateboarding when you're 40, I advise you don't. I advise you, like, learn how to roll, learn how to push, wear your pads, learn how to bomb a hill and carve a hill, feel the wind on your face. Like, you can get, and then there's those pump tracks, like Paul Schmidt. He does things where, like, he's an older guy, but he goes skating in a way where he's not doing, like, hot dog stuff that we do, but is he getting joy out of skateboarding? Absolutely. And I feel like people don't, like, that's the thing that is good about this thing. Like, you can, because I don't get a lot of people, but I got people that ask me, like, hey, man, I want to skate. I'm 40. I'm a little overweight. I'm like, you can skate. Like, I can get you to skate. You can carve around. You can find a bowl, those pump tracks, like, learn how to do the little pump track and then go around the corner. Like, you're having a session, dude. You're getting the joy. I taught a comedian the other day, can't skate. And I taught him how to go over a little pump hump. Then I taught him how to drop in on a quarter pipe. And then he dropped in. We went to a mini ramp that had a spine with a little pump hump. And he dropped in, went over the hump and did a kick turn. He's like 38. When he made that kick turn, I told him, I was like, Tony Hawk is probably, out of anybody I've met in skateboarding, the person that loves skateboarding the most. Like, he can't stop skateboarding.
I agree.
And when I watch him skate, I get a lot of joy out of watching him skate.
Yeah.
When this dude, Ian, did this kick turn after he made the drop in and went over the pump, when he looked at me, he was like 12, and I was Santa. Like he came over like, dude, and I'm like, that's it. That's what I'm giving you.
Yeah.
If you can skate, it doesn't matter what level. Like you, and he's like, he called me the next day. I'm gonna go to the ball. But calm down. You don't need to go to the ball. But just do what you're doing right now. And he's like all giddy about it. I'm like, that's the gift, dude. Like,
Do you want to know how I saw that?
No.
How I saw that dude drop in the first time?
Yeah.
Because you tagged me with some snarky comment like, "See, Tony, I'm a better teacher."
We've had an argument about
That's how I get to share in this joy is by being insulted by it. But it was sick.
It's a love insult. He's a good coach, but it's like, hey man, you think I got this? And Tony's like, yeah, for sure. Just like balls out, you know, and you'll get it.
Okay, no, that's never been my advice.
So one thing I could say is that, and in your advice, you know, if you're older and you want to start skateboarding and you've been farming for a year straight,
here we go.
and then Tony Hawk happens to show up.
All right.
This is your fault. I heard this story.
Yeah,
unless it's different.
I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. Don't try Muska flips in bowls.
See what I mean?
That's it. That's the advice.
Yeah.
If you've been farming for 3 years and you've stepped away from skateboarding and you find yourself skating a mini bowl, don't try a Muska flip.
Don't do it. Just carve. I was
Don't-
doing good.
Yeah, it was
I was
certain,
doing good.
At a certain age, don't flip your board.
No
Might
more
be a
flips.
good coach.
All right, so
just saying.
No more flips.
Are we going to talk about that?
Let's talk about it. Let's do it.
So there you are.
So where is that? It's in Ohio.
Yep, Ohio,
There's
outside of Cleveland, a little outside of
there's
Cleveland.
a private bowl outside of Ohio.
Shady Acres.
I was there. I was actually in Ohio doing a couple different speaking gigs. One in Cincinnati, one at the college. And I was with Staub, and I was still in my bad recovery in my legs, so my leg was still jacked up. But they invited us to the bowl, and was like, "Yeah, man, you guys got to see it. Sure, want to see the scene, you know, whatever." I could skate a little bit, barely. And this guy shows up as a surprise.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. Haven't seen him in years.
Yep.
And he starts skating. It's pretty
shit.
obvious that he hasn't been skating. Okay, why don't you? I don't want to speak on your behalf.
Yeah, so
all I can say is I could tell that Chad hadn't been skating, but he was hyped to be there and skate.
Yeah. So you know me, I'm a ham. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as I get on that board, you know, I think I'm right back where I left off. And the older we get, that is not always the case.
Tell me about it, dude. You're preaching to the
Yeah,
choir,
we-
my
we
friend.
know.
Yeah. So I was completely out of skate mode, you know. And James, the guy who owns the bowl, I had went out there a couple of times just to connect with the local community and see what was going on in skateboarding. And he's like, "Oh, Tony's coming, you know. He might come today. He might come." And he's like, "You got to come." And I was like, I was just kind of new with the crew, and I'm like, well, I don't want to disrespect the local scene. I want to support the scene, so I better show up, you know. And I wasn't even going to skate, to be honest with you, like, because I knew I hadn't been skating. I literally probably hadn't touched my board in a year, and you know, and then we get there and we go check out the bowl. And then as soon as I got in the flat ground, you know, I seen you and I'm like, what up, you know? And then everybody goes up to the ramp and then I start kind of tic-tacking on the flat ground around. That was like literally the first riding I was even doing.
Wow.
And so I'm tic-tacking around, getting all worked up. And I started chanting the Rocky theme in my head. I was like, da-na-na, da-na-na. And I'm tic-tacking around, you know, I go a little Madonna. And then, see, I'm even a little chunky right here. I wasn't in skate mode. No, and I see me, I'm so happy.
Man,
though.
you are hot.
See, look how happy I am. You know, see, I wasn't that close, as you could tell, and that's my trick. You know, that's like that's the Muska flip. You know, and for the record, I never named that trick. You know, Nodis, that's the Nodis flip. And so, but anyway, it has become.
You mean the way it flips? Like on the front side flip?
Yeah. It's a frontside flip, but
it flops over.
and on street when I do it that way as well too, kind of illusion flip they call it too. And but. I don't know how that started, but somebody called it a Muska flip one day, and it's like kind of stuck, and people are always saying that. And there's, you know, it is what it is. But
You took it to another level. That's
I always
why.
like to say that, you know, I never self-proclaimed that trick or anything. It just sort of
You're good,
happened.
dude. You do.
It's all right.
Continue.
No,
You're
Yeah,
okay.
but so
Yeah.
anyway, I'm getting hyped. I'm starting to carve the bowl. I get a little bit faster each time. I remember, and then finally I start 50-50 and in the deep end, and I was like getting a little more confidence, like, oh, this feels kind of good. And then I tried to do a backside air in the shallow end first, and like I couldn't even, I was awling and I was grabbing my foot instead of the board. And I'm like, why do I keep grabbing my foot? Like I was so baffled because backside grabs were like my go-to. It was so easy. I would just backside air, you know, ollie, melon,
exactly
you know,
me right now.
And I was like, it was so, and then I was like, and then instead of trying to land that first, I'd go and whip a frontside flip up, like kind of pose it, you know. I'm like, you know, and I'm like,
felt good
and then
though.
like, then a couple other ones were started getting a little bit closer, and then Tony jumps in the bowl and he's like, you got it? And I'm
No,
like,
I saw one get to your feet. Hold on.
yeah.
No, don't.
no, like I said, I was getting close.
And he said to you, you got it.
No, he's like, do you think you got it?
Yeah,
you asked
thank
me.
you.
You're
You
back-
asked me.
No,
You asked me.
I'm not backpedaling.
Yeah.
You didn't let him finish his sentence.
He said-
I didn't say anything about it. He said what he said.
Oh,
This
no.
sounds like
Dude,
something.
Listen, I put
This
no
fucking guy.
blame on you whatsoever. Not close, dude. Not even close.
Yeah.
But
Are you done?
I'm not saying
Are you done?
anything. He said it. I'm just here going, oh my God.
Can I
dude,
give
you
my
know.
version just for in that
Yeah,
moment?
explain your story. Yeah,
You tried
sure.
a few, you got one to your feet.
Yep.
And then you went back like you're gonna try again. I was like, "Are you gonna do it?" Yeah.
yeah.
Like you got that?
Yeah, you're like, you think
Not,
you could do it?
got that. I was like, "Oh, you got that?"
No, you asked me.
Okay.
You
Yes.
asked me. Yes,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
All
100%.
right.
You were like,
Disclaimer.
do you think you're going to do it?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and for the record, I thought you had it.
oh, I did. I was
Yes,
going to
he
have
did.
it. I did have it. That's like, that was a pretty steep little whipped corner, you know, like it was a weird area.
Yeah, but
it
you
was,
had it.
yeah. Oh, I could do that in my sleep. That was what was so frustrating to me, you know, is that like, that used to be like an ollie to me. It was like just, you know, it was just sense memory. I could just do it. It was like, so I thought for sure I just landed. You had posted on your Instagram. I hadn't been skating in a while. I was like, this is going to be my year clip, you know,
Look at it,
like
still trying to blame me.
I'm not doing anything. It just makes me look so good right now. I'm sorry.
it's just an ongoing thing. Like,
Yeah, like his coaching and my coach. Like he's obviously a way better skateboarder.
Okay, wait, hold on. Do you think? Let's just.
He's filming you like you're like, man, I'm pretty close. And he's like, yeah, you are.
Let's just
Let me
suspend.
film that. Like no pressure,
Let's suspend
you know.
disbelief for a second. Do you think you would have helped Chad to make his first Muska flip in years?
Well, he wouldn't have
if
believed
you were
me. I'm
there?
not as good. He'd be like, you think I got that? He wouldn't even have directed it at me. I don't know.
Oh, that's okay. That would have been your answer.
No,
I don't know.
okay. Yes, I would have. Yes, if it's Muska and he's doing a Muska flip in a ball and he's like, you think I'm
Thank you.
close? Yes,
All right.
I would have said,
Thank
yeah,
you.
you got it. We
I'm
all
vindicated.
would.
Go
yes.
on.
It's all love, man.
All right.
It's all part of my journey. You know what I mean. And anyhow, you know, it was like I was just leaning back a little too much, but I wanted to land it so bad, and I knew I shouldn't have, but I just tried to ride it down, and it just that steep transition just rolled, and it was my board was ahead of me, and I just sat on the back one, you know, and we all know what happened after that, and
We don't all know.
yeah, and so
I saw. Well, I saw it.
yeah.
Like I'm filming it from the flat bottom,
Yeah.
wide angle.
You
and
were in the ball filming.
I was in the
it.
ball.
Yeah, he was down the flat bottom. He was
I
as
still
close.
have not. This has not left my phone or seen, been
Yeah,
seen by
yeah.
others. But I knew it happened, so I just looked away and I looked away from the phone. I was like, oh,
It's bad.
yeah.
I was like,
and,
I'm broken.
and
then
he pulls
screamed.
it up and he's like, yeah.
And then I just
Like pointed the other way?
I was just I just laid. It was going like
Yeah.
off sideways, and I'm just like screaming. And then I kind of calmed down for a second, and I'm laying there, and I'm like, "Fuck, who's gonna take care of the chickens?"
That was the first thing he said.
That was my first thought because I'm doing it all myself, you know. And I'm like, "Who's gonna take care of the chickens?"
He
You
thinks
know,
of the
and like,
chickens
and I'm
first,
like-
you guys.
and I'm all stressed out, and but then I settled in, and like in life in general. I just practice acceptance right now, and like I don't go against, no more resistance in anything. I try my best to never get upset, not get mad. I try to stay as level as possible nowadays. I love getting excited. I like doing that, but even in that sense, I try to contain the excitement even, and I try to treat the best of times and the worst of times in sort of an equal way, and just experience them and not get overly excited or overly upset. And so I had time to kind of think and go, okay, this is what's happening. Just breathe. The scary part was getting out of the bowl. That was the
Yeah,
that was the scariest part.
Because
They had to put me in a chair or something.
let's
Got me
just
out.
say, let's just say there's no wheelchair access to
Yeah.
the bowl.
And then
You had to
they-
walk up these super narrow stairs to get up to it, and then he's stuck in it.
So once you get out of the bowl, it's not over.
Yeah, it was just getting out of the bowl
Yeah.
was crazy, and then getting down the stairs wasn't as bad, but mainly getting out of the bowl was this kind of. And then they had this weird thing, and then at that point I said, okay, this is what's happening, and I just was like, I felt bad. I felt so bad.
Why?
Because I was just like, it was such a magical day and a special moment to have all them there, and I was like. Damn, I felt like I ruined the day, because like I was so bummed that was like the end of the day when it was like, that was the only thing that was kind of later a little bit, and that's why I was like, I'm so sorry, and I was like, I just felt so bad that I like something bad happened, but at the same time I was still like so happy and hyped at the same time because I was there with you, and like just being around skateboarding brings me so much joy. And like I said, even from taking that 3 years off and coming back here, and that was kind of, I went to that bowl I think twice, and like maybe one other skate event, and then we had some fundraising things we're doing for skate park
Since then.
Before since
then.
around
Okay.
that time.
Yeah.
I've been helping to raise money for a skate park in Lorraine, the place I was born. And so I've done a few skate event things, but for the most part, not a whole lot out there. And so I was kind of bummed that happened during that time. But at the same time, it brought me so much joy being around it and connecting with the scene. And it's all part of my story now, and it was a big challenge. So I went from being in isolation out there and being so hyped and working the land and doing all this stuff to all of a sudden being bedridden and broken leg and had to lay in literally 3 months in bed.
I was going to say, how long?
And had
3
to have
months?
it elevated, and before I could start physical therapy or any of that.
Yeah.
I already had a metal plate in that leg. So right before I was going to get sponsored for the first time, I was in Vegas, and I was about to come to Vegas, and I did it on a backside flip on a quarter pipe, but almost the same exact way. I did a backside flip, like an alley-oop backside flip on this vert wall, and I came down, and it kind of slipped out, and I rolled down, and it did the exact
sat
same
on it.
thing. Yep, exact same thing. And then that put I was about to get sponsored and all this stuff, and so that put my career off in the beginning. And so all these years, I eventually gained back and became pro and all that, and that was in my leg the whole time. And funny enough, about a week before that, I was questioning like, how long should I keep that metal plate in there?
Yeah.
And I get migraines sometimes, and I was always trying to research different things, and there was some research that suggested titanium plates over 25 to 30 years could start to contaminate oxidize and slightly and cause some of that. It's mixed studies, but anyway, short story long. I was thinking maybe I should go and see if I should get that thing out.
Yeah.
This is like a week before that happened.
Wow.
And
Oh,
then,
what?
And then boom, break my leg. That one got bent when it happened. And
Yeah.
They took it out. The downside is they put two.
You
two
bent
new
titanium?
ones in.
You bent titanium?
I should have brought the thing with me.
metal.
I should have gave it to you. Heavy metal.
Literally.
Just bending titanium
Literally.
is so gangster. I love that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so it actually bent the plate that was
Hell
in
yeah.
there.
Skateboarding,
It
man.
definitely looked like it was going the wrong way.
Yeah, and the messed up thing that it did was, so I had the plate with the screws in it, and it bent the plate, and then it split the bone vertically because
Oh, man.
so it didn't only
So
it
gnarly.
broke, the tib fib broke, and then I don't remember which one it was, but one of the ones split vertically too. So then they had to put two plates on it, where one was there and it kind of like I think it's either L, like an L kind of like that, and then.
Were they saying that it wouldn't have been as bad if you had those plates removed beforehand? Or there's just
I can't remember if I spoke about that or not, because it wouldn't have mattered necessarily, because it was what it was.
Do you remember saying that you had a dream about that?
Dream about
When you were right after it happened and you were concerned for your chickens, you also said, I dreamt about this.
that I was going to break my leg?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't dream I was going to break my leg, but I had a weird feeling that I shouldn't go that day. That's what it
okay.
was. I don't know if I said I dreamt, but I was like, I didn't really want to skate because I was so in to what I was doing with gardening and
Yeah.
learning the land.
Yeah.
And like, I always find that like if I don't want to do something, those are a lot of the times I do get hurt. And if I'm looking at a handrail and I think, oh, I might not land this one, if I had that thought in my head,
just had a premonition.
it always, it was it was some sort of premonition, and that I was like, I had a feeling I was going to get hurt or something was going to happen.
Yeah, it was along those lines.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what I said at this point, but definitely I remember thinking that, and I would, like, didn't want to go, but I also was like the same thought of not wanting to disappoint the local skate scene.
Yeah.
And not you. I didn't want to. I knew
at all.
I knew you didn't care. But I wanted to see you no matter what too. Because
I was upset that you got hurt, but I was so thankful to see you. And my favorite moment from all of that was and these guys covered it pretty well, but they're putting you in the ambulance. You're holding your leg up and your foot is pointing the other direction. And you're just like, good to see you guys, man. Skateboarding, you can't stop us.
Yeah, and the door shut. Drive off.
That was it. And then Muska was gone.
Yeah, man. And then and then another positive from it, I think, like when you went, because you were there to give that speech, and then like somehow that just happened, literally just happened.
Like
and
2 hours before my
drove
speech.
to the speech, and you incorporated the experience into the speech, and it was in such a natural way. It almost felt like it was like happened a year ago, and it was like, you were retelling a story.
I would rather have it not happen.
Yeah, no, of course.
But yeah, it was really fresh, and it just spoke volumes about.
It's a testament.
Yeah, a testament to your dedication to what skateboarding means to everyone, and why we still do it, even when it's the most painful thing sometimes.
Yep. And that injury slowed me down, and I've been very hesitant to jump back on it, especially because I have so much responsibility in my hands right now that I can't afford to get injured like that again. And so I've been a pro skater my whole life, even though, I'm still one. I don't care what anybody says. I'll be a pro skater till I die. And Tony Hawk pro skater. And, so this is what I do, and like, I love it, and I will always continue to do it. But at the same time, right now I'm becoming a businessman, and I have to focus on that. And the more successful my business becomes, and the more financially secure I become within my business, the more freedom I will have to skateboard more. And because I won't have any fear of not being able to maintain my business that I'm creating and to keep up with all the things I need to keep up with. And so that's very important to me right now.
How does it feel now?
It still feels a little bit weird. It's not reacting like it should. I can ollie. I was hitting the curb cuts and carving and just, and just really pushing around a lot. And I ended up at a street spot called Jaquan yesterday.
Saw the
and that's
photos.
the little Stevie and all the homies.
It looked like a crazy reunion.
Oh my God. Okay. Listen to this, man.
So I saw the photo and I was like, oh, that's cool. Chad's like, all the locals recognize him. And I started zooming in. I was like, oh, those are all the players.
Yeah, it was
like those
it
are
was
the key
insane,
figures.
and I connected with this little
amazing.
Stevie, Brandon Turner,
Yeah,
and this new kid Ivan we're hooking up with. He's been winning every contest he enters, all of Paris and all around Europe.
That's a squad right there.
And so that's street skateboarding. That's my roots. This is what we did. We didn't go to skate parks. We went to local. Architecture that lent itself to skateboarding. None of it was made for it. We battled security guards. We battled, gangs and streets, homeless people, and all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the streets. That's street skateboarding. That's why hip hop music connected to it, the graffiti, all these things that are part of my life are part of street culture and street skateboarding. That's the essence of my career and my life, and those are the things I celebrate. And so, being away from that a bunch, and then I rolled up. So you never know when you're gone that long. You know what I mean? If these guys are like, oh, look, the old man showing up at the street spot, or something. I came around the corner, I skated up, the whole place stopped, looked, and they were silent for a second, and they were like, whoa! They all started yelling.
That's so
Little Stevie,
sick.
what? They're all cheering and stuff. They all run and start hugging.
Did they know you were coming?
No, nobody knew I was coming.
Amazing.
And there's a video of it even. I think it's on Stevie's
Stevie's
page, and you could hear him yelling. Yeah, and it's just like pure joy and happiness, and people are screaming, and Brandon Turner from Shorty's there, and there's smiles on everybody's faces, and look at Stevie, these are all serious, hard dudes, you know what I'm saying?
But that is a testament to your influence and your dedication. I mean, that's to be celebrated. That's amazing, and it's funny that you would think like, I don't know what they're going to think of me, but
I get that. I thought the same thing when I hadn't skated Vert for a long time and I came back to the ramp. I'm like, skating with you because I still talk to you. Sure, you're good. But is everybody else going to, like, oh, dude, you quit for a long time, And I'm like, but...
Well, no one thinks that there's some ulterior motive to starting skating again.
I know, but I'm just saying that
you know what I mean? It's just it's a celebration. That's we're celebrating, and
it was like I hadn't left.
Yeah,
like everybody that I hadn't seen for that long.
moment right there, man. That signifies street skateboarding, man. It's like it's unity. It's all inclusive. It's everybody. Like it's like. All walks of life, And in that circle right there, there's millionaires in that circle, and there's somebody that might be on the verge of homelessness or are homeless right there, And we're all there hugging each other, giving pounds, watching the trick go down, And it's like, it's so beautiful and it's so amazing, and I could try to put it into words. I can't articulate how much this means. That path. How much this means to me.
You were one of the pioneers.
I appreciate it, and so are you. And even though you were a vert skater, you're a direct influence on me, a direct influence on this culture. You are a street skater. You killed it at street.
I appreciate it.
You killed that street skateboarding, and to all these years later, and you're still doing it. It's like. It's just you.
I'm just more stubborn though. That's my issue.
Yeah, I'm stubborn, but in different ways. I'm a Taurus, so I'm very stubborn, very, very stubborn. Yeah.
So
it actually happens to be my birthday today.
That's weird.
What?
What's that? Today's your birthday?
Today's my birthday.
Shut up.
Yeah. It
Happy birthday.
Just happens to be my birthday today.
It was his birthday just the other day too.
Yep. Happy birthday, Tony.
Happy birthday to you.
Belated.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, dude.
Can we ask how old you are?
Hell yeah.
Thank you. 47 years old. Yeah, I turned
so young.
47 today. Yeah.
That's amazing.
47 is so young.
Yeah. Man, that video game obviously changed my life. It changed your life.
Yeah.
It changed everybody's life involved with it.
Made skateboarding bigger.
It made everybody that wasn't involved with its life better because of skateboarding in general. It elevated it so much. To this day, everywhere I go, you were my favorite on Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I started skateboarding because of you, because I started playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It never ends. It just keeps going.
Do you know what's funny about that? When people to ask me about the game, like, yo, man, Tony Hawk, I used to love playing Muska on your game. It's true.
So, man, I have you to thank for so much for that, man. And
thanks for being part of it. Thanks for believing in it.
I think because it was important, and I'm so grateful that you recognize that, like, you weren't just like, oh, this is the Tony Hawk video game, I'm going to show my version of skateboarding and Vert. You were like, no, I see this. This is going to be a bigger picture. We got to get Kareem. We got to get Muska. We got to get
well, that was always from day one. That was the intention.
Yeah, but you could have thought different, and you didn't. And I appreciate that. And you gave us the platform and opportunity to become household names. And we would have never had that opportunity had it not been for that game. And so I appreciate it.
Well, I think you would have been successful without me, but thank you, Chad.
Yeah, I think so.
And thanks for coming on our show.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I'd
man.
love that you just forged your own path, and you're like, I'm living out here, and I'm gonna still be doing what I do.
I
made it work.
I have a huge warehouse, and I have so many things in development. I have independent footwear, I have Muska footwear, Muska skateboards, Muska clothing. I'm doing it all. And
Well, send me some 13s.
Yeah, I got you. Say
hello to the chickens for me.
I will. I'm gonna name one Jason.
Dude, come on.
The next rooster will be Jason. Yes. But we only have one rooster at a time.
I know you won't name one after me since my homies.
The Killer Hawk's name is going to be Tony.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Killer Hawk is Tony.
I guess.
He's a killer hawk.
Just call him Anthony.
Anthony.
Keep it a little bit separate.
Anthony. But thank you so much, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you,
Chad.
man.
That was fun.
And sorry for my lost voice. I did the best I could
No,
do.
you did.
It's your
You're doing
birthday.
good.
I can't believe you have a voice at all.
Yeah. But, it's crazy. I'm not even partying, and I'm losing my voice, So it's just been connecting with so many people, and I'm a ham. Like I said, I like to talk. And after 3 years of silence, I got a lot to say.
Hey, you made our job easy.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you again,
Like and
man.
describe.
Like and describe.
I'm happy to be alive. I'm grateful for all these continued opportunities that skateboarding presents itself and that this world presents. I'm happy to have friendships like you guys, and just grateful for
me
this
too.
community. And to anybody who's watching, thank you, and I love you all.